everyone. Welcome back to the Association Pod. We got a lot to cover after the first round of the playoffs. We're going to break down the matchups and see which players help contribute to the teams moving on to the next round. And we're going to take a quick moment to look at the next round matchups and see who has the early advantages after the first games and whose team is looking primed to move on to the final rounds. Everybody sit back. We got a lot to cover. It's going to be a great episode. We're going to start off in the consolation bracket and look at the 10-11 matchup with Captain's Carnival going down against the underdogs. Ryan S. was able to move on with a 5-3-1 victory, thanks in part to some good performances out of Benedict Mathurin and Jaime Jaquez Jr. The two young wings combined for 147 points and also grabbed 48 rebounds between the two of them in the weekly matchup. Those key contributions helped the underdogs win the points category and tie in rebounds as well, which helped give them a good advantage considering they performed well in assists, steals, and blocks. As for Taylor and Captain's Carnival, he continued to get good production out of Julian Champagny, who's been one of his key players throughout the entire season, and Jamal Murray was continuing to perform at his high level, having one of the best seasons of his career. Unfortunately, a couple of key injuries to the team helped prevent them from moving on, as they lost Moses Moody for a couple of games and lost LeBron James for a couple of games as well. The underdogs were able to pull away in this consolation matchup and move on to keep their chances alive for the best lottery odds in the draft. On the other side of the consolation bracket, we had our closest matchup of the week with Jordan's team, Cat, holding on just barely over Chris and a big lump with Knobs. This matchup was decided by only 1 point, as Cat had 600 and a big lump with Knobs only had 607. Jordan is able to move on despite having multiple players on the injured list that weren't able to contribute for him. Jason Tatum and Austin Reeves both returned to action this week. However, Cat had them on the bench for the entirety of the week, so none of their returning stats were able to contribute to the victory. With both of those players out, Jordan can look to Alperen Sengun and Colin Sexton being the main contributors, helping them move on. Sengun had 93 points, 32 rebounds, and dished out 14 dimes, while Sexton scored 78 points and knocked down 12 three-pointers. Jordan also benefited by having some great assist numbers out of Russell Westbrook and Drew Holiday. The veteran guards contributed 53 assists between the two of them, helping Jordan win that category by 21. Unfortunately for Chris, he got some good production out of some of the players we highlighted in the preview of this matchup, with Reed Shepherd playing exceptionally well. He had 83 points, dished out 25 assists, and knocked down 16 three-pointers. He unfortunately had a lot of turnovers, which did hurt the Knobs, as his 14 turnovers contributed to them losing that category by 3. There's a lot of promise on a big lump with Knobs, with Reed Shepherd, Ace Bailey, and even RJ Barrett contributing well and being some good players that could potentially be kept for Chris next season. As for the two teams moving on, we're going to have the underdogs going up against Harry the Hawk and Kenny, and then Cat going up against Benny and Benny's Bistro. In this matchup with the underdogs and Harry the Hawk, it's starting off very close, as after the first day of games, it's currently 4-3-2 in Harry the Hawk's favor. Kenny has been able to get the return of James Harden playing through that broken finger, and he's performing solidly so far, as in the first game of the week, he had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, but he also got some great contributions out of two young big men on some tanking teams. Day'Ron Sharpe and Kyle Filipowski combined for 38 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 steals and 2 blocks. He's also got 18 points from Gigi Jackson, helping give him a good start to the week. This matchup is going to continue to be close, however, as Ryan S. got great contributions from Benedict Mathurin once again, and Bryce Sensabaugh, who combined for 49 points between the two of them, and also a nice stat line out of Gui Santos. Santos had 15 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and also dished out 5 assists. Ryan also is going to have the advantage now that Cooper Flagg is back and playing games. Cooper had a bit of a slow start in his return, posting below 32% in the first 2 games, but he did have 41% shooting in his last game in the first round, and hopefully if that field goal percentage comes back, he can continue his incredible scoring output that he had earlier in the season. On the other side of the table, Benny's Bistro has come out to an early advantage against Cat, with the matchup being 6-3 in the Bistro's favor. Benny being able to pick up Javon Small, who scored 19 points and grabbed 7 rebounds in last night's game, and also the return of his failing grade keeper, Brooke Lopez, who now with the opportunity to play with the Zubac trade, scored 16 points in last night's game. This helped him get an early advantage over Jordan, who unfortunately lost Isaiah Collier due to an illness, and he did not play in last night's game. Jordan, however, also has the return of Aaron Gordon to look forward to, who coming off of his hamstring injury, had a great performance in last night's game, with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and also knocking down 2 3-pointers. His return, along with Austin Reeves and Jason Tatum being available to play once again, is going to still give Jordan a chance to come back after this early deficit. Next up, we take a look at the championship side of the bracket and the first round matchup between Malik's Monastery and the Infirmary. Unfortunately for Malik's Monastery, Thomas is going to be on the wrong end of a lopsided week, losing 7-2 to Ryan W. and the Infirmary. To the Infirmary and Ryan W. 30. Thomas continued to get great play out of his big three of Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Nikola Jokic. However, it was not enough to slow down the firepower on the Infirmary. Kawhi Leonard especially did all he could as he scored 110 points, grabbed 30 rebounds, and also had 8 steals. Jokic also filled the stat sheet in all categories as he had 88 points and also grabbed 33 rebounds and 23 assists. Unfortunately, the Infirmary just has too much firepower and was able to fill the stat sheets from multiple players. There were 6 players that grabbed 20 or more rebounds and 9 players that had double digits in assists as well. Even with a couple of games missed due to Kobe White, Grayson Allen, and Steph Curry having extended time missed, there was just too much firepower on the Infirmary for the Malik's Monastery to compete with, as Ryan W. was able to win the 3-pointers, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks category. Despite not having a first-round bye like they did last year, the Infirmary and Ryan W. still look poised to defend their title from last season. In our other first-round matchup of the championship bracket, the Jimmy Chitwoods was able to win over the Heatles. Despite some smack talk early in the week from John Frank and the Heatles, they were not able to put together enough stats to make the upset happen in the first round. John Frank got some good performances out of his New York Knicks stars, Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, who combined for 155 points, over 70 rebounds, and 58 assists between the two of them. But there just was not enough support from the rest of the team to help them make the upset. Darius Garland was able to play and contribute despite coming off of his foot injury, but he only put up 45 points, 10 rebounds, and 16 assists. He also did not get all the help he could from one of his trade assets he got in the season with DeAndre Ayton, who missed a couple of games due to injury and only had 19 points and 18 rebounds to contribute. On the other side, my team and the Jimmy Chitwoods got some good production out of some of their younger players, even with VJ Edgecombe, who got hurt early in the week. Honkanipple continued to be consistently producing as he has all season, as he had 75 points and knocked down 13 threes, which helped them have a 7 3-pointer advantage in the matchup. The Chitwoods also benefited from the return of Keontae George, who had missed some time coming into the playoffs. George was able to score 88 points, including back-to-back 30-point games on March 2nd and March the 4th. The team also benefited from a couple of players they traded for at the deadline, with Jaylen Brown and Jeremy Grant combining for 139 points, 40 rebounds, and 29 assists. The Chitwoods get the reward of playing the 3-headed guard monster of Tyrese Maxey, Luka Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all who are on Wiggins of Nas and Nate's team. At the start of the second round, Shai Gilgeous put up an incredible stat line. He had 35 points, 9 rebounds, and 15 assists with 0 turnovers, giving Wiggins an early 6-1 advantage in the matchup. It's obviously still early in the week, but Nate is showing that he is one of the juggernauts poised to make a run at the championship. On the other side, the Infirmary continues their momentum that they gained in the first round, as they have an early 6-3 advantage over the first seed of the league, Tim, and aspirations of a title. Ryan got some nice contributions out of OG Anunoby, Quentin Grimes, and Olivier Maxence Prosper. OG had 22 points and 6 rebounds. Quentin had 17 points and 5 rebounds. And Omax was able to score 15 points and grab 4 rebounds as well. While Tim isn't off to the best start, his team still has a lot of firepower. As now today, he gets Cade Cunningham, Giannis, Victor, and Anthony Edwards all playing and able to contribute for the team. This matchup is sure to have lots of heavyweight punches as these teams are loaded down with high end talent. Thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of the Association Pod. The playoff matchups are looking great and highly interesting so far. So we look forward to seeing who comes out on top and who's going to have a chance to win the title and put their name in the history books. Thanks for listening. Everyone, make sure to set those lineups and have a great week, and God bless.